Hello everyone, you're watching Free Press Journal live. I'm Afrida Rahman Ali, and here is the contentious issue that we are going to discuss today. The Maratha agitation has been called off after a 5-day protest that literally paralyzed the city of Mumbai. Couple of important questions that we need to address here. With the GR now being reached, the government resolution that has been discussed with the agitating community, what does it mean? Why is it so difficult for the government to actually allow reservation for the Marathas from the OBC quota? What are the challenges there? To what extent was the judicial intervention that really shaped the course and outcome of the agitation? Because remember, the court had to weigh in and say the protesters need to vacate, the
तो ये
city has
पात्र
to
वर्ड
function.
निकाला गया है यानी कि
All right,
सर
we'll come to this. We'll come to this in a bit. Let me first add Rohit Chandavarkar, senior journalist, joining us here on the program. Rohit, very good evening. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Afrida.
Can I begin with the question that we are asking at this moment, and something that we have also put out in the front page of Free Press Journal? Your article is there in our editorial page. But first, what I want to ask you is this about Mr. Bhujbal sulking, mulling a legal fight. He's part of the ruling coalition. So there are discordant voices within the ruling coalition saying this GR makes no sense. It's inconsequential. It's not it is not something that we accept. Why do you think that is happening? That this sort of a resistance now coming from within the ruling Mahayuti with a senior leader like Chhagan Bhujbal?
Afrida, the first point that your viewers would like to know, which is, most politicians are not talking about it, but it is very obvious, is that the whole thing is very confusing. And nobody knows what the government of Maharashtra has actually done and what effect it's going to have. You speak to any experts or any people who have been running this agitation or representing this agitation, they will claim that they have got victory and they gathered 50, 60, 70,000 people in South Mumbai, and they claimed victory and celebrated and went back. So they claim that they have got what they wanted. If you speak to some of the experts, I'm not saying all, but some of the experts, they're claiming things one way or the other. But for your English audience and the elite audience of Mumbai and other cities of Maharashtra and all over India, I have to say it very firmly that nobody knows what has happened. I mean, that's very clear. That is because, I've been covering politics and government, especially government and public administration for over 3 decades, as you know. And what we have seen is in these kinds of situations, what the government usually does is it comes out with things that confuse people. So nobody knows what is going to actually happen. What the GR government resolution says is very, very long, complex, and it is in Marathi, very complicated language, and nobody really understands what it means. And some of the Maratha agitators also, and especially independent observers, are saying that it does not add anything new to what the government had decided earlier. There is a thing called the Hyderabad Gazette, which came out, in the first part of the 20th century, and it basically lists land holdings and people and population and all of that in the Marathwada region. And what the government now today is saying is that we will abide by the Hyderabad Gazette in terms of identifying Marathas who can be categorized as Kunbis. Now, Kunbis are like categorized in Konkan and other areas as some of the deprived or the backward groups among Marathas, and the government has been saying, and that is applicable, that they are eligible for reservation in education and jobs. So the government is now saying that we will abide by Hyderabad Gazette, and Manoj Jarange Patil, the Maratha agitator leader, his main demand was that this should be implemented because his main concern is about the Marathwada region of Maharashtra, where there is large scale unemployment and underdeveloped region, and a lot of Maratha youngsters who are jobless. So that part, of course, the government is clear about, and there is some clarity that maybe youngsters from Marathwada may be given Kundi certification, and they will get some benefit of reservation in the coming years, but nobody knows how this is going to roll out, how the process is going to happen. So to that extent, the this agitation has scored a bit. But if you talk about pan Maharashtra, if you talk about Konkan, Western Maharashtra, North Maharashtra, like Khandesh area, Jalgaon, Nashik, and other places, and Vidarbha and other places, there is no clarity about what the Maratha community is actually going to gain. And that's what some of the leaders of the Marathas, like Vinod Patil, have been saying on camera, on media since today morning. And they are claiming that they have not gained anything out of this. So there is, to sum it
But
all, there
Mr.
is
Bhujbal is
absolutely no clarity.
angry. But Mr. Bhujbal is angry that something has been granted, which does not suit the OBC
Yeah,
category.
yeah.
So that's
Very,
the
very
counter
logical.
narrative now. Hmm.
Yes, very logical and good question. That is obviously the next
Hmm.
question. If
Yeah.
this, if the status is that Marathas have not been given anything additional,
Hmm. Hmm.
yesterday's GR has not given them anything additional, why are the OBC leaders
Hmm.
complaining and growling and saying that they will agitate or whatever? Simple thing, Afrida, which you also know, I know, everybody knows, it is politics. I mean,
Hmm.
everybody is posturing. Chhagan
Hmm.
Bhujbal has to create space for himself as the
Hmm.
prominent or the most prominent OBC leader of the leader of the OBC community in Maharashtra. Remember, OBCs are much larger in numbers compared to Marathas, and it's a huge political constituency. And if there is something big seemingly happening, the word seemingly is very
Hmm.
important, happening about Maratha reservation, which seems
Hmm.
to be threatening for the OBCs, then somebody has to posture and take a leadership role,
Political
and
capital out
especially
of
in
it.
media, start shouting, saying that I will lead this and I will ensure that the OBCs don't have to lose anything, and will not allow
Yeah.
this, etc. I'm sure I know Mr. Bhujbal very well. I've interviewed him many times. He used to be very interesting, funny, not funny but interesting, ironical part. He used to be an actor professionally. I mean, he was a film producer. He's produced many Marathi films, and he's worked on Marathi
So
stage
you're
and all
saying his
that. And he
acting
knows,
skills are coming
and he,
handy.
he knows
You're
how
saying his
to.
acting.
He knows. He
Okay.
knows a very
I got
interesting,
you.
entertaining part that I'm telling you for your viewers. He knows how to hold the audience. Okay, I mean, he
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
In the early days when he was in college, he
Hmm.
participated in an inter-college drama competition as an actor, and he
Hmm.
beat Amjad Khan. I mean, he won the first best acting award, and the
Hmm.
legendary Gabbar Singh of Sholay, Amjad Khan was with him in the same batch of some other college, and Amjad Khan stood the second. So Bhujbal knows how to play it to the gallery.
Okay. So,
I
you
always
have
tell him
such
whenever I
interesting
meet him.
trivia.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
always, Rohit, come
Whenever
up
I
with
meet him, I
some.
tell him always. He's
No, no,
very good on camera.
I am saying on
Yeah.
every topic, Rohit ji, you have such interesting trivia that makes the conversation so interesting and engaging. And thanks for
Thank you.
sharing these little,
Thank you. Thank you.
trivia with
So
us, which
every
we would
time,
not have
yeah.
known. Yeah.
So every when I was in TV earlier, every time we used to, me and some other colleagues from other channels, we used to interview Chagan Bhujbal.
Hmm.
We knew how
Hmm.
well he plays on camera and plays to the gallery. So I'm just giving you
Hmm.
these sidelines or these additional details for your viewers so that you understand
Yeah.
what kind of politics is being played. He is playing to the gallery, he is acting on camera,
Hmm.
pretending that he's angry. Mr. Bhujbal also, and many others and everybody else, they are 100% not sure about what exactly is going to happen, because Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis is repeatedly saying that there is no damage happening to the OBC quota. And they're
Hmm.
saying that, there is no reservation being taken away from OBCs, and he's showing it on paper, etc. And everybody is, kind of insisting within the government,
Hmm.
including Minister Radhakrishna Vikhe
But
Patil and others,
yet, since
everybody.
OBC is such a potent vote bank, therefore, here is an opportunity to present yourself championing the OBC cause, as you have
Exactly.
rightly explained, Rohit. Thank you for giving us that perspective, because this is extremely important. The fact that, and you've written this in your article, which I'm putting out on the screen as well, which was there in our editorial page today in Free Press Journal. I'll come to some of the points that you have made in your article, Rohit, but I am going to now put out these figures for a complete context for our viewers. The idea here, Rohit, so that people can understand what is the population share, 27 to 28%, non-creamy layer 84%, poverty rate of the Marathas 21.2, state average is 17.4. Farmer suicides among Marathas, 94% of all farmer suicides in the state are from the Maratha community. So there is a very interesting connect with the agrarian crisis, why this matter has resurfaced. Proposed reservation 10% SEBC quota for the Marathas, that was in February 2024. Total reservation, if implemented, will be 62%, which again exceeds the Supreme Court cap. Therefore, that cannot be done. So these are figures just to put things in context to our viewers. Now, coming to the points that Rohit has made in his article today in Free Press Journal, I'm going to come to your points one by one. And you have made, of course, some very important points as well. One of the things that you're saying is that the BJP in the past 3 to 4 decades has cultivated the OBC community as their assured vote bank. Therefore, no chances can be taken there. What were we even expecting? There was nothing going to happen in this area. This is like a non-negotiable sort of thing for the BJP. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So, see, traditionally in Maharashtra in 30, 40, 50 years, what we have seen is that the Maratha community originally, historically, has been the dominating, ruling, land-holding community in the state. What has happened is in the 20, 30 years, especially in about last three decades, there has been fragmentation of land, agricultural land. So there is, 30 years ago, if one farmer who's a prominent Maratha, zamindar as we call them in Marathi or Hindi also, held 20 acres of land and cultivated sugarcane and made good money and everything. Over the years, what has happened is maybe he had two children or two sons. Land got fragmented. Then those two children have 2 or 3 children each. So again, so eventually in the last 30 years, the land holding has come down to 3 acres, 2 acres, 4 acres for each of the family. This makes agriculture totally non-viable, or it's difficult to survive on sugarcane or any other cultivation. This has pushed the Maratha community towards cities and jobs. This is what I have been writing in Free Press Journal, other places, and speaking about it on TV. So my point, Afrida, is that this is not a political issue. This is not a caste issue, like you pointed out a few minutes ago. This is completely an economic issue. The demand for caste, reservation from the Marathas or reservation in government jobs or in education is a demand that comes out of economic distress, agricultural distress, agrarian crisis, because agriculture is not sustainable anymore. Now, once that is established, what is the other side? The other side is that there are, like in your opening comments, you said, you mentioned that. So let me explain that. There have been commissions after commissions which are saying that it is difficult to establish that the Maratha community as a caste, remember, as a caste, can be identified as a caste which is socially backward or socially deprived. Yes, economically, many of them are deprived, and economically they are in crisis, but socially they have been kind of powerful, dominating in their villages or whatever. So they cannot be categorized as, eligible for reservation. That is what some commissions have said in the past, inquiry commissions who have gone into, years of investigation on this issue. On the basis of that, the Supreme Court struck down Devendra Fadnavis government's decision of 2019 to allow 10% reservation for Marathas. So the Supreme Court said that, look, there are these commissions, 1, 2, 3, 4, which have said that Maratha community cannot be categorized as socially deprived caste. So we cannot give them reservation. Now the next step, of course, is to categorize them as Kunbis. Some of them who are landholders, small landholders or landless
Because that is
people
the
or whatever.
only way. There
And
is no
then,
other way that it can be
and
proved that
then
they are socially deprived.
And then the fear among OBCs is that once some of them are categorized as Kunbis, they will be identified almost as OBCs. And the OBC community fears that their quota will be damaged or dented into. So that's the struggle. That's the struggle that we see between Marathas and OBCs in Maharashtra right now, which is playing out a full blown kind of a thing that is playing out last few days. Now,
Yeah.
a very senior Maharashtra leader, Sharad Pawar, has said and suggested, and that I think many have agreed to that, is that the only way the Marathas can be given reservation now is by increasing the quota beyond 50%, 51%, whatever the cap
Hmm.
right now
That will
is.
be a
And
larger
for,
battle, isn't
and
it?
for that, there'll have to be a central government getting involved, and there'll have to be an amendment in constitution and all of that, which is going to be a huge, long drawn process. Nobody knows whether it will happen, how it will happen, etc. Coming back to Maharashtra and the politics here, now what we see is, everybody is claiming victory or saying that, they are endangered or whatever. OBCs are saying they are endangered. Maratha agitators and the leaders of this agitation are claiming victory, but nobody knows what the GR is actually going to change. That is the status. So one of the points that I have written in my article is about the upcoming civic polls, which I keep talking about again and again
Yes.
because that's a huge thing.
Hmm.
Civic polls and Jilla Parishad polls in Maharashtra, in which the bone of contention is who's protecting Marathas, who's protecting OBC interest, etc. And there are going to be political scores. People are trying to, I mean, groups are trying to score over each other for that race. Once those polls are over, trust me, all this debate will disappear. That's what I can predict. I have not written that line in my article, but my point is, who's going to benefit. So coming back to your question, this particular question, I'll just sum it up that the
Sure.
BJP has been cultivating OBCs for the last 20, 30, 40 years, mainly because they knew that the Marathas are firmly with the Congress. Congress was, as you know, and everybody knows, they've been the ruling party for 50, 60 years, and the Marathas aligned themselves with the Congress. So the BJP realized that they have to make inroads among the OBC community, which they did from 1990s, 95, 97, 2000, whatever. You had leaders like Gopinath Munde and many others. Now you have leaders like Chandrasekhar Bawankure, Gopichand Padalkar, all of them, younger generation, many OBC leaders who, so the BJP has given representation to the OBCs in a big way in politics, in their ministerial berths and cabinets, etc. So my argument is that if there is consolidation of OBCs because of this Maratha reservation issue, BJP is likely to gain out of all this, because if there is a fear among OBCs that our their reservation is going to be taken away or part of it is going to be taken away, they will consolidate, they will galvanize, and they will stand firmly behind the ruling party, which is the BJP. So my point is, which I'm not 100% sure about that, because politics is fluid, everything keeps changing. But one possibility is that in the upcoming polls, the OBC community might just stand behind the BJP on this issue. If there is too much pressure from the Maratha community, while the BJP is also scored by this showing the Maratha community that we have brought this GR, and some of the Maratha community also will kind of come and support them, saying that, oh, they have brought this GR and we are going to, in the long term, we are going to get reservation. So this is the political game that is happening in Maharashtra right now. And the opposition,
But
as you can see,
say,
Sharad Pawar
yeah,
and
it's a
others are
smart
kind of
move then,
clueless.
isn't it? Yeah, because
So the
Rohit, then what we need to tell our audience is that this is a very smart move. सांप भी मरे और लाठी भी ना टूटे, जिसे कहते
yes,
हैं हिंदी में.
yes,
That
yes,
you have managed to appease the protesters, however way you did it, with the GR by dangling a carrot for them, that in the future course of action this will happen and this is the process we will follow. Apparently, the GR is only giving you the process; it's not giving you anything concrete. And to the other side, to your vote bank, to the OBC, you appear as somebody who's guarding their reservation and not letting further entries which could dilute their prospects. So both ways, if I got you correctly, Rohit, what you're saying is both ways, this time, at least in this round, the ruling alliance was able to settle matters in their favor. Did I get that correctly for you? Which is why you're
yes,
saying
yes.
the
So,
BJP is likely to
so yes,
benefit.
yes. So the title of my article, which you have in front of you, says, who's going to benefit
Hmm.
politically out of this Maratha agitation that became so big in
Yeah.
Maharashtra's financial, India's, sorry, financial capital. became such big headlines and all of that. Look at this, while this GR was brought out, and there was celebrations at Azad Maidan, and there was withdrawal of the agitation and all of that. Just next day, within 24 hours, the government of Maharashtra, which is the headline in today's paper, has established a subcommittee to look into the OBC's issues, which is going to
Yeah.
be headed by Cabinet Minister Chandrasekhar Bawankure, who holds the revenue portfolio, very powerful portfolio in Maharashtra, which relates to all land holdings and lands and land revenue and all of that. So it's a clear signal that the BJP wants to uh, appease to some extent the Maratha agitators who are very angry, looking aggressive, etc. Calm them down, give them a GR, say that okay, we have done this for you. At the same time, almost simultaneously, establish a subcommittee and say that, oh, look, we are doing this for the OBCs also, and OBCs have been our traditional supporters, so we will not ignore them. So it is a very smart, shrewd, and as usual, tactical move by the BJP leadership and the Mahayuti government, I think.
Yeah. I'll play out what Eknath Shinde has said in this regard and come to you for a concluding remark on this entire issue. As you rightly said, all the leaders want to benefit politically out of this. Let's hear in to what Mr. Shinde has to say.
और विपक्ष के नेता हो, उन्होंने हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी के ऊपर तो बहुत बार आरोप लगाए, बहुत गलत सलत कहा, जो देश को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं, देश को प्रगति की ओर ले जा रहे हैं। ये देशवासी जो हमारे हैं, ये देश सहन नहीं करेगा, इनको जरूर सबक सिखाएगा।
I think we got the wrong soundbite where he is reacting to the comments on Prime Minister's mother by the Congress Party. I think I'll have to fix
कई बार
this.
बोली गरीबी हटाओ, लेकिन गरीबी हटी नहीं, गरीब हट गया, गरीबी नहीं हटी, लेकिन 32 करोड़ जनता गरीबी से ऊपर आ गई। प्रधानमंत्री करने वाले और ये जीएसटी का एक
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't get the correct portion out there. But what we are trying to discuss here, Rohitji, is that here is an issue which is a political hot potato, no less. And each side have tried, to get the maximum out of it. The NCP, the Sharad Pawar faction, and you have written this in your article, for Sharad Pawar, since it was formed, you are saying always appeared as if it was the party predominantly political outfit of the Marathas. So there are conflicting interests, competing interests here, and no one wants to lose this opportunity. The agitation may have ended, but the matter, and you're also saying this very ominously in your article, that the impact will last. Can you explain and elaborate why you say that?
Yes, the impact will last because whatever happens now is going to have long-term implications. Because remember, anything like reservation. Now, just look at OBCs and the way OBCs have got reservation and enjoying that reservation, or let's say taking benefit of the reservation for the last few decades. This was a decision that was taken by Vishwanath Pratap Singh when he was the prime minister in, I think, 1990 or 1989 or whatever, perhaps more than 35 years ago, I'm saying. So look at what impact it has made all over India on the OBC community and the politics of OBCs and all of that. So I'm saying any community getting reservation, any community getting benefits of entering government jobs or getting reservation in education, concessional education, higher education or whatever, makes long-term impact. And that changes politics completely. Now look at the national picture. If you see, today from north to south, you have the Jats in Punjab, Haryana, you have the Gujar community in Rajasthan, you have Patidar community in Gujarat, you have Marathas in Maharashtra, you have some communities in Telangana. Just yesterday there were headlines about Telangana government taking some decisions about reservation for those communities. All these have been traditionally dominant communities and well-to-do communities, but because of similar reasons that I explained of Maharashtra, agrarian crisis and other things, you have these communities which are now facing economic distress and they are demanding reservation. So it is Firstly, it makes long-term impact, like what Vishwanath Pratap Singh's Mandal Commission implementation did all over the country. And secondly, it kind of changes politics, and it gives kind of a leverage or kind of a opportunity for the political party which announces reservation to say that, look, we did this for you, and for generations it can benefit, it can keep getting votes again and again. So the BJP has understood this game very well. And of course, Congress also earlier knew about this, and all political parties understand the implication. That's why I say that this is going to have long-term impact. Whatever happens now will have long-term impact. That's point one. The second part of this is, of course, that you will have social and economic changes happening, which will change the structure of parties. Like previously, if you know, BJP used to be known as parties of a party of Brahmins and Paniyas only. But under Pramod Mahajan and under the guidance of BJP ideologue, RSS ideologue Vasantrao Bhagwat, they decided that they have to make inroads in the OBC community, and they came out with this very well known and talked about Madhav formula. Madhav is Mali, Dhangar, Vanjari, three big prominent OBC communities which they took along. Everybody's written about this multiple times, talked about it many times. Everybody knows about this, but that just changed the BJP structure completely. Today you have, large scale, MLAs who are from the OBC community, and it has changed Maharashtra's politics completely for long term. So that's what I mean when I say that, whatever happens on the issue of reservation, whatever decisions happen, whatever GR comes, whatever changes happen, they will make long-term impact. Whether the agitation is just for 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, that doesn't matter. The impact that it makes and the changes that it brings is going to change the face of Maharashtra's politics for many decades. Only thing, and the last point, last line, which I'm going to repeat what I said earlier, is that nobody knows what exactly this government has actually done and through this GR, and what impact it is going to make on the field, because that will take a few weeks for us to understand when we see the implications and how the government implements it, and whether Marathas on large scale in Marathwada region, thousands and lakhs of youngsters, really get Kundi certification or not. That is, something that will roll out over the next weeks, months, whatever, and then only we'll know whether this is going to make impact. But my last line is, my sense is the BJP government has wisely done this only to tackle the upcoming very important Mumbai, Thane, Pune, Nagpur, and other municipal polls, and Jilla Parishad polls, which is a big thing for the BJP, big deal. Those are going to happen in maybe Jan, Feb, whatever, 6 months from now, and they've just taken care of that part. They will decide
There is a
about what to
delaying
do
tactic.
later.
Yeah, from what I
Yeah.
gather, there's a very smart delaying tactic, buying time at the same point, like you said, making sure that the immediate polls that are there in the anvil are somewhere, those interests are also met with, that nobody gets disappointed. I thank you very much for joining us, Rohit. Thank you so much for giving us your insights into this matter. We'll continue to have you with us. I'm going to play out some sound bites of protesters. And the word that I take from what you said earlier is that there's a lot of posturing in this. So we have to take everything with a bit of salt, even as I play out some of the sound bites of our
Just one,
protesters. Thank you.
yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah, just one part that everybody's talking about, and I'm tempted to say this here, that there is a strong feeling among the Maratha leaders also, many Maratha leaders who are now coming out and speaking, that this agitation was, Afrida, suddenly and abruptly wound up. And nobody expected that suddenly, one evening, fifth day, just over 1 hour or 2 hours, something happened, and it just was.
And you don't believe it is
wound up.
because of the court order? Are you saying you don't believe it can be only because of the
No,
court
no,
order? Because that was also
maybe
there.
court order. No, no, not exactly the court order, but something has happened behind the curtains. That's what people are saying. That's what those who are involved in the negotiations, those who are, even some of the groups which are with Jarange Patil, they're also saying, there is some politics that is happening, very firm decisions suddenly coming, and something happened. So, we will discuss this maybe next time or
Yeah,
whenever
we will
more
continue
things will
with
roll
this
out. Yeah.
conversation. Yeah, we'll
Right.
continue because,
Yeah.
at this
Thank
point,
you.
I take your Thank you so much. I take your point that we don't know everything. Thanks, Rohit, for joining us. Pleasure having you with us on the program. I'm going to play out protesters. Now, this is supposed to be the backlash of those who are unhappy that the government has decided to
इसलिए
roll out
शब्द निकाल
some
के जो
concession
शब्द
to
है,
the
ये
Maratha
वर्ड है
community.
जो
Let's listen.
पात्र वर्ड है, वो उपात्र वर्ड था। अभी आज हम डाउनलोड कर रहे थे तो ये पात्र वर्ड निकाला गया है, यानी कि सरसकट उनकी जो मराठा समाज की मांगनी जो थी, सरसकट मराठा को कुणबी करे, तो उनका वो पात्र शब्द निकाल के सरसकट कुणबीकरण करना चाह रहे हैं ये लोग, और ओबीसी का घात कर रहे हैं। और दूसरा ये है कि उस जीआर में ऐसा बताया है कि मराठवाड़ा में जो 5 जिले हैं, 5 जिले में जो ओरिजिनल कुणबी है, वो कुणबी ने जो प्रतिज्ञा पत्र मराठा समाज को दिया कि ये कुणबी है, ये कुणबी है, तो उसका कुणबीकरण किया जाएगा, उसको कुणबी सर्टिफिकेट दिया जाएगा। इसका मतलब है कि सरसकट कुणबीकरण हो गया है। ओबीसी का घात करने वाला जीआर सरकार ने निकाला है, इस सरकार का, इसलिए हम निषेध करते हैं।
मांग क्या रहेगी?
हमारी मांग यही है, ये ओबीसी का घात करने वाला जो जीआर है, इसको तत्काल रद्द करे और ओबीसी को न्याय दे। जो बीजेपी कहती है, फडणवीस साहब एक भाषण में गोवा में कहे गए कि ओबीसी बीजेपी का डीएनए है, ऐसा डीएनए है, ये निकालते समय आपका डीएनए कहाँ गया था, यह हमारा सवाल है।
महाराष्ट्र राज्य सरकार ने जो शासन निर्णय जेआर निकाला है, गवर्नमेंट रिजोल्यूशन, वो ओबीसी के जो संवैधानिक हक का अधिकार है, आर्टिकल 340 के द्वारा हमें 15/4, 16/4 के जो आरक्षण दिया है, वो छीन लेने वाला ये काल का शासन निर्णय है। ये शासन निर्णय क्या बोलता है कि जो भी मराठा है, मराठा इज अ डोमिनेंट कास्ट, वो हर एक जो नेशनल बैकवर्ड क्लास कमीशन ने 3 बार बोला है, कोर्ट ने बोला है, आपको लीगली ओबीसी आप नहीं हो पा रहे, इसलिए बैकडोर एंट्री करने के लिए ऐसे आप जेआर निकाल रहे। और ओबीसी का आरक्षण ये बोगस जो सर्टिफिकेट है, कास्ट सर्टिफिकेट्स के द्वारा माध्यम से ये निकाल के ओबीसी का जो आरक्षण है वो उनको खत्म करना है। अभी आपने ये अगर जीआर देखा तो खाली एफिडेविट पे कोई भी किसको बोल सकता है कि मैं आपका रिलेटिव हूँ, ये जो एप्लीकेंट है ये मेरा रिलेटिव है, मेरे गनगोत में से है, और मैं आपको एफिडेविट दे दूंगा और आप सर्टिफिकेट इशू करोगे। तो अभी जो पूजा खेड़कर प्रकरण जो हुआ है, उसमें कोर्ट ने स्ट्रिक्ट मेजर्स लेने को लिए बोले, पर आप क्या कर रहे हैं, आप उसके उल्टा कर रहे हैं कि ओबीसी में लीगली नहीं जा सकते तो बैकडोर एंट्री की जाए। ये डोमिनेंट कम्युनिटी जो फाइटिंग क्लास है, जिनके पास सत्ता है, ये सब लोग अगर ओबीसी में घुसेंगे तो हमारा आरक्षण खत्म हो जाएगा। हमें जो हमारा जो पॉलिटिकल रिप्रेजेंटेशन मिल रहा है, अभी लोकल बॉडीज इलेक्शन के इलेक्शन आए लोकल बॉडीज के, उसमें 56,000 पोस्ट हमारे लिए ओबीसी के लिए रिजर्व होती है। वो पोस्ट ये सर्टिफिकेट्स के द्वारा उनको हमसे छीननी है। तो पूरा ओबीसी का एजुकेशन में, ओबीसी का गवर्नमेंट जॉब में, और ओबीसी का लोकल बॉडीज, मतलब हम जो बोलते, हमारी मांग है कि 2 दिन में ये जीआर गवर्नमेंट वापस ले, नहीं तो हम 58% ओबीसी है, हमारा क्वांटम बहुत बड़ा है, 6 या 7 करोड़ हम ओबीसी है। अगर हम रास्ते पे आ जाए तो महाराष्ट्र रुक जाएगा, हम कोर्ट में भी जाने वाले। पर इस सरकार को हम आपके ये चैनल के जरिए से हम ये इशारा देते हैं कि जल्द से जल्द ये जीआर आप वापस ले, नहीं तो संघर्ष हम करेंगे, रास्ते पे उतरेंगे, एगिटेशंस करेंगे,